Get a proper whoop whoop in here, please, coach.
Doodle-doodle-doodle-doo. There it is. Whoop, whoop.
There we go. Whoop,
Let's get into it. What is going on? Happy Sunday.
They started saying, do you remember hearing this voice? Do you remember watching these things? Do you remember cracking code? Do you remember? And I was like, all of a sudden, it was like, boom.
They were looking for people.
My brain just went off.
They're not sending you money so that you can have a better education. They're certainly not sending money to this little black girl in the middle of who knows where so that she can have a better education. Yeah, we're going to send you to this nice private school. No, sir. That's not how that works.
Conspiracy theories are entering a dangerous...
Information is the oxygen of the democracy.
There's so much evidence out there that even if less than 1% is true, that would be enough to collapse the current paradigm and change the whole planet.
Doodle-loop. What's up? Shout out to Coach Colin. Shout out to Coach Colin on the intro. It's okay, Gigi. Gigi got freaked out by Coach Colin's doodle-doo. Yeah, Gigi, it's okay. We're just learning from Coach. Yeah, don't worry. There's no intruders. You're all good. It's just Sunday. Happy Sunday, guys. Welcome to a wild Sunday stream. We've got some shit to talk about today. Let's put on our tinfoil Speedos, as Coach would say. And let's plug into one of Coach's newest video, if I'm not mistaken, but he puts one out so often that maybe he's already put out another one. But it's time to talk about the GATE program. And obviously this is a much more theoretical, big picture, big ideas part of this program here. But it's time to put on a little tinfoil just for fun, obviously, just for fun. We're just out here having fun. This is just an entertainment program. We would never report on the news. We are not discussing facts or evidence at all. We're just reading things. We're trying our best to read. Even though some of us don't read so good, you know? So for those of us that don't read so good, let's learn about the GATE and maybe learn a thing or two, right? The GATE programs, gifted and talented programs. And Coach put together some really interesting connections about Charlie and about Candace and about the GATE programs and about things that Andrew Colvett said that make you go, huh? And before we get into this, I just want you to remember what we talked about the moon cult and about, let's say, deep state organizations that are founded and funded by sketchy financial influxes from who knows where that seem to be managed operations, that seem to be long thought out, planned operations on behalf of a global cabal of evil motherfuckers. Okay? Keep that all in mind as Coach puts these pieces together for us. We got to make sure we're back at the beginning so we can get a proper whoop whoop. Let's get a proper whoop whoop in here, please, Coach.
Doodle-doodle-doodle-doo. There it is. Whoop, whoop.
There we go. Whoop,
Let's get into it. What is going
let's
on?
get into
Happy
it.
Sunday. Hope you've had a great Saturday, a great week.
Thanks, Coach. We are having a great Sunday.
Finish strong, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning to everybody.
We'll
Let's
turn them
just
up a little
jump right
bit.
in. This is what we're going to be talking about here today. I had this conversation with my brother, okay? And he was listening to the show, and he just came up with something where he's like, I think I understand why Andrew said to Candace that it was supposed to be you. And I was like, okay. And as I'm listening to it, because he sends me a voice note, as I'm listening, I go, oh, I know what he's going to say. I'm like, oh, that makes perfect sense. He goes a different direction with it. He says because Charlie decided to align himself with, if you go with Philadelphia's Most Wanted, we got Candace as number 1, we got Tucker as number 2. As soon as Charlie aligned himself with number 2 and refused to decouple from him, his days were numbered. That's what my brother was saying. And I was like, okay, that makes sense. But what I was actually going to say is because, my brother's not doing all the research that I'm doing. And,
remember that Charlie Kirk did not just align himself with Tucker Carlson and put his foot down and say, Tucker is going to be at the next Turning Point event. So help me God. Which was pretty intense because when I spoke to Tucker, it was just days before he went to that Turning Point event. And he made those comments on that stage at the most recent Turning Point event where he said that in a lot of ways, Charlie Kirk died for him to speak right then and there at that event by putting his foot down. And then if you remember, Charlie Kirk said in the text messages that we were told didn't exist until they existed, and then they did exist. that he was thinking of inviting Candace too. So he'd actually aligned himself with both of the untouchables. He had clearly aligned himself with these evil anti-Semitic grifters that are funded by Qatar. Mikey walked away for our sins.
The researcher and looking into all this stuff and reading all these
Chat,
files.
that
and
was
weirdness.
mean.
I all of a sudden had this eureka moment where when he brought up it was supposed to be you. Well, that's because Candace was actually like Charlie. Candace was like Charlie in the sense of being guided. Now, here's the thing. She actually says this in this clip right here, okay? Listen to this. Maybe you remember, maybe you don't. Maybe you didn't listen to the end of her last live, but listen closely.
And any other child development program that's in schools for extraordinary students or gifted and talented students.
Anyone in the chat from the GATE programs? Anyone in the chat go to the GATE programs? Any non-retarded individuals in the chat? I never went to the GATE programs, but I think I'm a little different because, yeah, we got a couple of you guys. Because I did go to cool schools, weird cool schools, but it was because my mom and my dad, but my mom was the reason for which ones I went to, was because they worked in education. And so I actually got to go to her school growing up. So I didn't go to public school until freshman year of high school, only went for 1 year. It was so fucking boring that I actually started to fail everything. And so then I went to a different little private school that was like super cool, but certainly not involved with the government. It was a very like counterculture school. So I don't know. I probably wouldn't have been smart enough to get into GATE anyways. Who knows? But I avoided it. I slipped right out of that public track. But yeah, I see we got some Gators in the chat. It was called Tag also. Yeah, there's other names for it in different places.
So many comments of people reflecting this, that yes, when I was in the GATE program, lights go out. I told you that was something that Charlie said. And it's so weird. They're like mocking Charlie by mocking me. He said it. He said he thought he was a time traveler. He went to a special school. And yeah, it's very interesting that these programs.
Yeah,
exist.
W for Mama Carroll, for sure. So big W, whoever said that in the chat.
Transfer you to a special academy because the same thing happened to me. I took the test. It was third grade, I remember. And all the kids got their state test exams back and mine was late. And I was sitting in Miss Balistreri's class. And then they brought my mom in and they were like, Candace got a very high score on this. We'd like to put her in what was called the Extraordinary Learners Program. And after being in a couple of these classes, they then said to my mom that we would like to pay for her to go all expenses to this academy, King Low Haywood Private School.
Which, if you know anything about public education, you know that they're not interested in paying money for kids to get a better education. Okay? If you know anything about public school education, like the teachers are often wonderful people. Often, like the administrators at the low levels, often wonderful people. Like people that get into education for the love of education, many of them are wonderful people. Not all, but many of them. Big hearts. Thankless job. Got a lot of heart for that. But like the upper levels, the decision makers in the government policy, the people that are doling out the money, they're not sending you money so that you can have a better education. They're certainly not sending money to this little black girl in the middle of who knows where so that she can have a better education. Yeah, we're going to send you to this nice private school. No, sir. That's not how that works. What are they getting out of it? Why are they doing that? Why would they do that?
And my mom was like, well, you should go to this. This is an amazing opportunity. And then I started bursting out in tears, crying, being like, Mom, please don't make me go. We had just changed schools, elementary schools. And I was like, I just made new friends again. I do not want to make new friends. Essentially, I promise I will be an idiot. Just do not make me change schools. And
Coach is about to bring in a crazy clip from another podcast that I've never seen before, that I'm going to have to go hunt down and watch the whole podcast.
Wonder. First off, I did. I then purposely was trying not to do the best. I still, was in AP honors classes, but I was kind of very reticent about school. And I do remember I still had to do the LP program.
Monica says they're looking for kids with psychic abilities. Watch my old video about the telepathy tapes. Watch it for yourself. Go listen to the telepathy tapes for yourself. Shit's crazy out there. Okay. Tinfoil hat firmly on your noggin. Go watch it.
For us going on buses to separate schools, it's really interesting to think about what is the actual aim of these programs, probably to identify kids and make sure that if they are in any measure brilliant, and I'm not saying that I'm brilliant, I just happen to be in one of these programs, they probably want you to work for the government.
Now, remember that, because I'm going to show you somebody who's actually one of these GATE kids, obviously an adult now, and they're going to talk a little bit about their memories coming back. Also, I have somebody right here.
Hit that like button.
They're saying that they're a former person as well. There's a lot of this.
I'm sure you already are, but if any of y'all aren't subscribed to Coach, you go to Coach Colin right now. I am Coach Colin, 1L, and you go hit that subscribe button. Dude is a legend. And he's probably one of the most continually updating accounts, always dropping the latest news. You know the entire story if you're following Coach.
This popping up now. But that Candace reveals that she should have been in one of these programs. She was smart enough. They wanted her to be in it. And you have to remember, for them to be like, we're going to pay for this in full. That's kind of weird.
Kind of weird.
It's like, here's the thing. There's good people in the world, but it's a little odd when a school says, hey, we're going to pay for the entire thing just because we want her to get the education and we want her to just be a bright star in life and just make a good income. And that's it. That's all we're looking for. That sounds kind of weird. Seems like it's like, well, she has potential. We want her to go here because we want to explore that potential. That would make more sense there. But either way, she explains that, hey, I was supposed to be one of these people. Then what ends up happening to Candace, like through her life, right? Not as a kid or anything, but from where we catch up with her. Well, there is a stint and there is a picture where it says, I don't know if at the time she was trying to be an actor or something, but there's some profile where it says something about actor, right? So she's already in this world. Same as Erica, same age as Erica. So she's already in this world and she thinks
Candace was very much deposited into, she kind of inserted herself. I don't really know the backstory on how Candace got into it, but she very much entered into the same mainstream media tracks that all the other people her age entered into, that Charlie Kirk entered into. And she got picked up by one of these big organizations. And she was getting handled. She was getting controlled. She was getting managed all the way through it. All right. And I don't know if my trajectory in the industry, I mean, I came into the industry from a totally different direction, but on my come up, on my first year when I was blowing up everywhere, I got a lot of offers from a lot of the bigger organizations to be like, oh, come on over. Like, we'll help you out. Like, we'll give you a show kind of thing. I was like, nah. No, thanks. No, I'm good, dude. I am good. I like my shit. I like doing my shit how I want to do it. Get fucked. A lot of them from great people, too. People that I love, as far as I know.
she's just going through the world. Well, for all we know, like she doesn't have any handlers or anything like that. Not like Charlie. No people for spiritual purposes like Charlie.
She did,
but she does end up in this situation where she is a media personality. She is doing something with different people, but one that stands out to mind was Officer Tatum. She was doing a show with him. She was Red Pill Black. Then she was doing a show with him. And then it became the turn.
If y'all haven't seen Candace's original skits on YouTube, they're fucking hilarious. And I accidentally turned them up when I was collecting videos for transcripts and getting all their transcripts so that I can have them inside of Webb. And oh my God, I had never seen Candace's original content. It was amazing, dude. It was amazing. It's like old school Candace, like TikToker Candace. Maybe we'll go back and watch one sometime here.
Turning point thing with Charlie as they built it up. It's very odd. Charlie is one of these people. Charlie bumps in. I don't know how they met. They bumped into each other. They just kind of met each other. Charlie just grabs onto her, says, "You have to come with me." Charlie all of a sudden has these memories and thoughts and dreams and notions that he's supposed to be with her. He was supposed to find her, right? Seems divine, but also there is an element that we are now exploring now. Actually, I'm not seeing many other people explore it, but I know Candace is, and I am. My researcher is definitely exploring it. He's down with it. Starting to explore the fact of Charlie having people around him that were guiding him. We weren't holding on to him, we're pushing him around, but we're just guiding him, just gently.
Harley Pasternacking him. Maybe Harley Pasternacking him just a little bit. Just a little bit. If you know, you know. But fortunately, Charlie was a good little guy. And he mostly stayed in line. He was with it.
Like, hey, don't go to college. Do this instead. Don't do this. Do this instead.
Right? Bill Montgomery just pops up out of nowhere. Like, oh, don't go to college. I've got millions of dollars to fund a gigantic organization for you that you're totally going to be in charge of, Charlie. Don't worry. You don't need to know how it all works. You just go out and give your speeches, and we'll set up all of these mint distribution organizations behind the scenes to pass money around really sketchily in. Don't worry. We'll put a lot of effort into the structure. It's going to be great.
So it seems like, and then Candace goes to PragerU. There's a cancellation over her head. She has to go and meet with someone. This lady, or I think it was a lady. It was in an episode where she describes having to go meet with this spiritual Philadelphia person, a Philadelphia priest, if you will.
Yep.
She has to meet with this guy. and she has to apologize. She apologizes, and all of a sudden the cancellation goes away. Now, whoever brought her to that person was obviously not a handler of sorts, but, you know, could become that, maybe. I don't know if there's...
And this is part of why Candace is so dangerous right now and getting so much fire back, is because Candace not only has this power and personality and experience as a journalist and as a media personality that's just inherently powerful, but she also has all of this inside knowledge of how these systems work. She has years of text messages in her phone. She knows these people. She's worked with these people. She's been inside of these organizations, and she knew Charlie very, very, very well, better than most of them do. And so she's got all this inside info. She's got all this power to communicate. She's got this incredible brand. It's really no surprise.
They still know each other even. But then she goes from there to the Daily Wire. So she was on a path. And I think everybody, even the people who today absolutely despise her, everybody was like, this lady here, when she was with Turning Point, everybody was like, this lady could be president. She could easily be president. And it's funny, we have the same notion with Charlie. So both had these strong leadership skills, right? Coincidence, God-given.
That was a crazy chat message that just
divine, however they met up. It's very odd that both of them are together. One company, then she moves on to the Daily Wire. She's clearly being put on a path. And even she says, I didn't realize I had handlers. Even she says that. I didn't realize. I had no idea that was what was going on, right? So it makes you wonder, why would, and let me play that actually, just so you know what I'm talking about here. Let me play that here.
They knew something about Charlie. And that's why they had him marked and had him monitored and had him likely followed since he was young. And maybe they thought, like the agents think, that if they swarmed him and they stayed with him and they pretended to be his friend, that ultimately they could control Charlie and perhaps change an outcome. They could literally change an outcome related to...
I mean, if you're trying to steer global events, if you're an intelligence agency, if you're a secret organization, if you're the deep state, if you're what Operation Paperclip and MK Ultra and all that bullshit evolved into, you just think, put yourself in their shoes and think, how do I do my job? No shit, the way you do your job is you keep an eye out for kids that are going to be powerful. You keep an eye out for young people that are going to be powerful souls, that are going to have a lot of influence, a lot of power. You would look for them. You would search for them. You would find them. When you find one, you would hone in on them. You keep tabs. You try to guide them. Riz. Potential. You try to take that potential and steer it and manage it. And then use it for your own needs. This is old school politics. This is like how politics has always worked. Is find someone with political potential and then manage that shit. And if you can, blackmail it while you're at it.
To Charlie. So when for the first time in his life, because I do believe he was managed, I mean, I've already said I was handled. I didn't recognize that I had agents. And for the first time in his life, Charlie peeks his head up and starts to push back in a meaningful...
Asks for a Doge effort. A little bit of Doge effort, maybe. Says I have no choice but to leave the pro-Israel cause. Yeah, that's a mistake, bud.
Way. You couldn't stop him from becoming bigger. That seemed to be inevitable. But they panicked. They seem to have panicked, right? I mean, this is just starting to happen within a year. When Charlie's going like, hey, man, I don't actually think this. I don't actually believe this. And then he goes, you know what? Take the money. Take the money out of the organization. And they panicked.
100%. Now, I only played that to show the fact that she did not realize she had agents. She didn't realize.
Yeah. Remember, Andrew Colvett, in tears, right after the event, said it was supposed to be you. His best friend has just died. And he's telling Candace it was supposed to be you. Imagine if Candace had not turned left. Imagine if Candace had not stepped out of line. Just years before. Like, it was only years before. I mean, she had started to step out of line at PragerU. She'd apologized. She'd gone to the Daily Wire, gotten set back up, ready to keep rolling. They thought, all right, we need to separate her from him. We need to separate Charlie and Candace so we can more successfully manage both of them. But Candace wasn't having it. Candace was ungovernable. And it was only years before that had all blown up. And until then, she had been still involved with Turning Point. She'd still been groomed for this exact position, still doing these exact same things. And imagine if she hadn't stepped out of line. And instead, it had been Candace that had been giving a speech and had been killed. And then Charlie was left to pick up the pieces. Imagine what they would have been left with in that scenario. That's what Coach is about to elucidate here for us. And it really gets you thinking. Compare that scenario and what Charlie Kirk would have been leading with the power of that martyrdom. Compare that hypothetical organization in the future to what the Moon Cult was and could do with all of its structure, all of its political cachet, all of its money.
The gifted programs and the often and, Mortal Kombat, or somebody suggested Mario Kart Ultra. Same thing, Mortal Kombat Ultra. But once we start looking at all that.
If you don't know, Coach uses code words for like Israel is Philadelphia, MK Ultra is Mortal Kombat Ultra. You'll pick up on it. I'm sure you know.
When Andrew says, and also, Andrew is a handler of sorts. Remember, Candace brought up John Moore and how he was supposed to have disciples. And Andrew Colvett seems like he might be a disciple of his. And then he goes over to Turning Point. He becomes the spokesperson. He doesn't really have any other customers, any other prospects other than Turning Point, even though he has this PR company. It's almost like I have a PR company, but it's only Charlie that I focus on.
Yeah. This weird lizard person who does PR just for Charlie. That's his only focus. And Andrew Colvett comes straight out of that Liberty University to deep statey money in the background pipeline. And that was the pipeline that led everybody to the Moon Cult and to the strange donations that saved Liberty University and a couple other organizations.
And I'm right next to him all the time. And I'm the spokesperson for Turning Point. And I told you, a spokesperson is kind of like a handler for the entire company, right? And that would include Charlie.
Correct.
You can't tell Charlie what to do, but you'd be like, hey, man, like PR-wise, I mean, that's not going to look good. Us meeting up with that person, I don't know. That's not going to look good. I don't know. Debating that guy, I don't know. I don't know if you really want to do that.
Maybe you don't want to have Dave Smith on with Josh Hammer. It's just not going to be good PR, Maybe you don't want to invite Dave Smith to crush Josh Hammer on your stage. It'll be bad PR. Maybe don't invite Tucker Carlson this year. It'd be bad PR,
Let's release this statement, et cetera, et cetera. So when Andrew says, hey, it was supposed to be you, maybe Andrew knows more than just some information here and there in terms of what happened to Charlie. Maybe he understands that Candace was supposed to stay with Charlie. They were supposed to move on to that higher and higher realm that Charlie was getting into, becoming so powerful. Candace was supposed to be there the whole time. Candace was the better debater. She was the better speaker. Anytime, go and watch. Anytime her and Charlie were on stage,
Facts.
Candace sometimes, if Charlie was going back and forth, she'd rip the mic out of his hand and just start going at the person. That happened all the time. Charlie never fought it. He was like, yep.
Yeah, because Candace has that fire. Candace has that fire. And you need to only watch her appearances on like Pierce Morgan or Jubilee, right?
He would always let Candace lead. And even in the text messages, he said, I think you're supposed to be David. You're supposed to finish this job. I think God meant for me to find you. You were the missing piece. I was time traveling. You know what I mean?
And imagine if the two had both broken free together. Imagine how unstoppable of a force that would have been.
Even Charlie seemed to have known that. So it seems like if Candace didn't go off the rails and she stayed handled the way she was supposed to, her and Charlie were supposed to go to this high point. Charlie was there by himself. So imagine if Candace did get to that point and it was Candace that was just messaging people in group chats, and it was Candace who just said something to maybe Ben Shapiro or Andrew Colvett, but didn't actually tell everybody, just like Charlie when he suspected something was going to happen to him. What would have happened to Candace? Well, Candace would have passed away. And then what would have happened to Charlie? Charlie would have became the head person, and it would have made sense. Candace would have been the Messiah-like figure, right? I don't know. That's just what's coming to my mind now when I hear about Andrew Colvett saying it was supposed to be you. That's what makes more sense to me, is that he understood what Charlie was. He understood what he was doing at Turning Point. He understood who Candace was, and he knew it was supposed to be you. And in that,
as a handler, you might expect he might know that.
That time of solid grief, just pure sadness, anger that you get in when somebody passes unexpectedly, he looks and he's on the phone with Candace while she's crying, and he says, it was supposed to be you.
You were supposed to fight the Sith, Anakin, not join them. Right? right? It was supposed to be you. So now let's jump ahead to this crazy podcast clip that he dug up about MK Ultra and about the GATE program and about how these programs seem to work.
And yes, I have them too, and have had them for 20 plus years. And then my response, of course, was, "Are you willing to talk to me about this? Like, please have this conversation with me, because I would love to have her on the show briefly, just talk about what it is that she's seeing here." But I have another person who's a part of the GATE program, and they would like to talk about it as well. Check this out.
Something I just found out, and then I'm going to go back.
Here, let me just boost it up a bit so she gets right to
My
it.
age that are sort of like waking up gateway program that they were trying. They started saying, "Do you remember hearing this voice? Do you remember watching these things? Do you remember cracking code? Do you remember?" And I was like, all of a sudden, it was like, boom,
They were
like,
looking
my
for
brain
people.
just went off. And I was like, holy crap, because we're drinking this pink drink, which opens your pineal gland. And then you sit and they teach you how to astro project. But you don't know you're doing that as a kid.
Wait a minute.
I'm sorry that I brought all
Did you
this
say you were in Marine Intelligence when you were in
Yes.
too? Are you a spook?
So I'm going to get to
Getting
that
out
in a
of
second.
Somebody bring out the device to check for
But
bugs
this
and
is
stuff.
Yeah, but this is the
Our
crazy-
first Fed.
Right.
All right.
No, but
Kate?
this is the insane part of it. In this show, it said that 90% of GATE kids become military intelligence, doctors, lawyers, and entertainers.
90% of GATE kids become military intelligence, doctors, lawyers, and entertainers. I need to look into this statistic. I need to try to confirm that.
So then I go, could that be true? So I look.
Doctors, lawyers, entertainers. See, this is also my theory to why Andrew Colvett said that. And then you look at where Candace is. She's an entertainer, right? You look at where Charlie.
Right, Chad? Do you think that could be true? Let's not take it at face value. I mean, I would certainly believe that a high percentage might become, but 90%? You're a GATE kid and you're a marine biologist? That's what's up. Selling seashells down by the seashore. Let's go.
He was definitely politics / entertainer, right? So it's very, very interesting. And also what also brought me to this is because in that conversation with my brother, he revealed, because, we have our dad's side, mom's side.
I mean, even if it's 50%, that's still really high. But it kind of would make some sense. Because when you get into those programs, they put you on a special path and they give you special education. And when you control a child's education and indoctrination, you control an awful lot about their potential life outcomes. You don't control everything. But you certainly have a lot of power to shape that child's future.
Look up my class. 95% of us are one of those things. Most of us in military intelligence. So I asked my mom about 3 months ago. I said, did I ever once tell you growing up, ever, that I wanted to be in the military? She goes, no. So I get into the military. I go to MEPS. I take all of the testing. And because I could be intelligence, they gave me the code cracking and the language test.
Wow.
They don't tell you the score. They just tell you you can be in one of those two things.
Yeah.
So I picked
You got to prove for this.
So they signed me in a contract for linguistics. And being in the military, if they contract you and they can't give it to you, they have to let you out. So it was my last week of boot camp. My senior drill instructor called me over. I was honor grad. She said, wave me over. I get over there. She took me outside. She said, I need you to be a person for a second, not a recruit. You have a big decision you need to make. And I went, oh, you're not going to give me my job. Because that's about the only decision that could possibly need to be made at this point. And I'm like, oh my God, it's too late. I did boot camp. I'm a Marine now, right? I already got my Eagle Webb and Anchor. I go in, sure as there's a CIA looking dude with his file. And he tells me, hey, sorry to tell you, you can't
do linguistics, but you can do
this code cracking
intelligence.
thing. And I said, no offense. I said, but I doubt I did that well. I didn't grow up really doing languages, and I doubt I did well on that code test. He slides a piece of paper over to me. Perfect score on the code test. So then all this has just been going like, click,
What
click,
year
click,
in
click,
school did you go to GATE? 6th grade?
In 6th grade.
And you were in GATE for how many years?
All the way through high school, from 6th grade.
So CIA was tracking your butt since you were in 6th grade.
So I saw chat a little divided. Chat, what do you think? Do you think that stat sounds a little too high? Because obviously it's just that woman's word. And what she cited when she said that is she cited that she looked at her graduating class. And she said that in her graduating class, 95% of them went into those things, which is anecdotal at best. It's just her claim. I think 90% sounds a little high, saying that 90% go into government, doctors, lawyers, entertainers. But I wouldn't be surprised if it's pretty high. I'm kind of curious if there's actual statistics out there. I'm running a little search in the background right now to see if I can dig anything official up. But I would be skeptical of anything official. It's hard. It's going to be hard to gauge. But that being said, it's what is the point of the GATE program? Do you think the government's just going to be funding the GATE program for nothing? What do you think the GATE program actually is doing? I'm gonna get my tinfoil out and I'm gonna go way down this rabbit hole this week. GATE, not gay. Okay, GATE. Correct. Yeah. Yeah, I believe maybe not 90%, but maybe a lot. Yeah, her stats are coming from her personal anecdotal experience. Nick Fuentes is a gate kid? No way. I'd believe it. I would believe it. Wait, did you say he's a gate kid or a gay kid? Interesting. Gate programs don't follow students post-graduation. They focus entirely on K through 12 enrichment. You really think that they're not, you really think that? You think they're not tracking these kids afterwards? You think that they're investing millions and millions and millions of dollars in funding little black girls to go to private schools just so that they can set them loose on the world and say, have a great life. I hope you're prepared. Right. That's totally how the government works. I think that that's the end of our show for today. Thanks for being here. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, follow, all those things. And don't forget to drink some water, eat some good food, tell people you love them. Be a nice person, you know? Be a nice person. Don't be a Jonathan Greenblatt. Be a nice person. And together we'll all make our world a little bit better. We'll all make it a little bit realer. We'll all be a little more human. Have a mint? Yeah, have a mint, you know? Just have a mint and chill out about it, right? And we will see you all probably tomorrow.
Conspiracy theories are entering a dangerous
Information is the oxygen of the democracy.
There's so much evidence out there that even if less than 1% is true, that would be enough to collapse